On the news, 1 dead, 76 rescued as Nigerian Air Force strikes bandits' base in Katsina State. President Bola Tinubu pushes for local arms, ammunition production in fight against insurgency. The Economic Financial Crimes Commission invites CBEX fraud victims to aid ongoing probe. It's a pleasure to have you join us now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Victoria Akonde. We kick off with security matters. An underage has been reported killed while 76 were rescued as Nigerian Air Force NAF struck again in its ongoing manhunt for the notorious bandit kingpin Babaro and his gang, the masterminds behind the recent deadly attack on Gidon Mantau community in Malumfashi local government area of Katsina State. In a statement signed by and issued on Saturday by the State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Nasir Mohazu, the NAF carried out a decisive air operation this morning at Pau Hill in Kankara local government area of the state and rescued 76 kidnapped victims, including women and children. It said the precision air interdiction conducted between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. specifically targeted Babaro's stronghold at Pau Hill, one of his most notorious bases that has long been a source of terror to surrounding communities. President Bola Tinubu has pledged to fast-track local production of arms and ammunition to boost Nigeria's security system. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the graduation of Course 33 of the National Defense College in Abuja, Tinubu said reducing reliance on foreign suppliers will strengthen the fight against insecurity. The graduates were drawn from the Army, Navy, police, and other local and international institutions were charged to uphold the theme of the course, strengthening institutions for national security and development in Nigeria. The president emphasized that strong institutions are vital for upholding the rule of law, protecting citizens' rights, and ensuring national stability. Now, reactions and commendations continue to trail the arrest of 2 of the most wanted leaders of the Al-Qaeda-linked Ansaru terrorist group, which has been active in Nigeria since its emergence in 2012. National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu revealed that the arrests were the result of a months-long intelligence-led operation. The suspects, Mahmoud Usman, also known as Abu Bara, and his deputy, Mahmoud Al-Nigeria, also called Mala Muada, were arrested between May and July 2025 following a coordinated effort by the National Counter-Terrorism Center, the Armed Forces, and other security agencies. Speaking exclusively to TV360 Nigeria, retired Air Commodore Abayomi Balogun, a former Nigerian Air Force aviator, described the arrests as a landmark achievement in Nigeria's fight against terrorism. He also called for more proactive measures and stronger collaboration among security agencies to better utilize intelligence in combating terrorism and apprehending additional bandit leaders.
In those days that we were in the military and fighting the same kind of situation, we were always ahead of the enemy. We were not reactive, we were more proactive. So what I expect them to do right now is to become more proactive and get them before they get to us. We don't have to wait every time until they strike. Like Mahmouda. Mahmouda has been around Mokwa of Niger State, roaming around for ages. And a lot of people know him. But how long did it take us to really trap him down, and then finally we say we have arrested him? Like several others over there. I want to take you back a bit. About 4 years ago, precisely in 2020, there was a kidnapped American that was kidnapped either in Chad or Niger and was brought into northern Nigeria. And within 3-4 days, Americans came into Nigeria and secured his, in fact, they did not secure his release. They freed him by killing all the bandits, all the terrorists that kidnapped him, and took him back to America, just a single soul. Now, what stops us from doing the same thing? We have the capability, as far as I'm concerned. We have the resources to do so. The only thing we require is what I call critical thinkers that need to be assembled, that will continuously think for the security agencies and say, we are the problem solvers. They don't have to be actively involved, but they will be in one corner and brainstorming every day and providing the solutions to the security agencies. They are bound. I'm not talking about me. There are so many well-meaning Nigerians who are ready to put in everything possible to make sure this country is safe. But we must harvest them. We must look for them and get their expertise and put to good use. So once the military or the security agencies step up their games to that level, where a kidnapper, single call, that is what is required. Just one call is required to track them and get them to put them to justice. But today they will kidnap 100 people, 200 people, and they keep them for 1 month, and we say we don't know where they are. That is not acceptable to me. It's something the Americans did it within 3 days. In fact, within 2 days they knew where they were in Nigeria, and within 3 days they came into Nigeria, rescued the guy, and took him out. So how come it is happening in Nigeria and we don't have the capability to track these guys and bring them to justice? That is what I want the security agencies to mature into. They must grow that, leverage more on technology. The technologies are available. And once that kidnapper makes that call, it's enough. It's all you need.
Now, in other stories, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has invited victims of the alleged crypto bridge exchange CBEX scam to report to its Ibadan and Lagos Zonal Directorates for further investigations. EFCC's head of media and publicity, Dele Oyewale, said the commission is prosecuting 3 suspects, Adefowora Olanipekun, Otorodo Avesuso, and Eirem Chukwebuka, over their alleged involvement in fraudulent cryptocurrency platform. The commission explained that CBEX lured Nigerians into investing with promises of unrealistic returns, leading to significant financial losses. EFCC urged victims linked to CBEX offices in Ibadan and Idimu, Lagos, to come forward and assist with the ongoing investigation. In a bid to foster the growth of leadership qualities amid a prevailing scarcity of visionary leaders, the Guardians of the Nation International, a leadership-centered organization, is organizing the 2025 National Leadership Conference with world leaders and notable figures expected to share insights and experiences. Scheduled for September 5th to 6th, 2025 in Abuja, Nigeria, this premier platform seeks to redefine leadership principles and empower individuals capable of delivering tangible results. According to the founder and president of Guardians of the Nation International, Linus Okorie, the conference also represents a significant opportunity for leadership development and visionary thinking towards sustainable transformation across sectors. Okorie added that this event promises to be an enriching experience for those committed to making a difference in their communities and organizations.
Why do we need this conference at this time in Nigeria? Why this conference? It will interest you to know that the economy of this country is already at a very challenging situation. People are actually going through very stretching moment, right? And leaders are also going through the pains of, in fact, finding themselves in a corner where they don't even know what to do. So some leaders are discouraged as a result of the challenges that their positions have put them in. So it is therefore important for leaders who are interested to change the tide of the situation to come into the room, where specific leadership ideals that surrounds mind leadership, that surrounds dealing with issues of transformation, so that they can understand how they can transform their minds first before they can transform their situations, their environment. In fact, leaders will come to understand that leaders are dealers in hope. That in times that is challenging, leaders look up, to different model leaders across the world to gain inspiration so that they can be able to at least make the difference that they can. So if followers look at leaders and leaders are committed, their mindset are clear, they are producing results, then the followers will help the leaders to achieve the results that they need to achieve.
Now, the Global Center for Conscious Living Against Corruption, A coalition of civil society organizations has raised the alarm over what it described as orchestrated negative campaigns against the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and its senior management. Speaking at a press briefing in Abuja, the Director General, Gabriel Nwamba, who warned that such attacks could undermine national interest and investor confidence, bemoaned the spate of media reports, lawsuits and protests targeting NNPC leadership in recent weeks was deliberate attempts by faceless groups to derail ongoing reforms under the company's Group Chief Executive Officer Bayo Ojulari. Gabriel noted that while criticism is in a democratic right, the coordinated nature of the allegations against Ojulari, the Chief Financial Officer, Dapo Segun, and the Executive Vice President, Upstream Udi Ntia, suggested a deeper agenda by vested interests uncomfortable with the company's transformation.
The critics are like eunuchs in a harem. They have seen it done times without number, but they can never do it themselves. The NNPC critics fall in this category because they have many times been witnesses to how the company, turbocharged by the new legislative chest of the Petroleum Industry Act, is gradually transforming into a world-class commercial entity of choice. Sadly, like the eunuchs, these unwatching cynics can never do it themselves. Fact is, whether they like it or not, the NNPC reforms are like a moving train that can never be stopped. Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief did not make a mistake by nominating the current NNPC management. And from their performance so far, it is evident before everyone's eyes that this is indeed a team driven by technical acumen, eagle-eyed attention to details, and unrelenting desire to rewrite the oil and gas paybook in Nigeria.
In other stories, as the rainy season begins, farmers in Borno State are returning to their farmlands despite the threat of insurgent attacks. They say abandoning cultivation is not an option as farming remains their only source of food and income. In Molai community near Maiduguri, farmers work under the protection of security escorts. Each trip to the farm is risky, but many insist they must keep planting to feed their families and sustain the local food supply. TV360's correspondent Solomon Josiah completes this report.
In Borno State, farming is more than survival. It is a fight to defeat hunger and escape poverty. The state, blessed with fertile land, has always been known for producing crops such as maize, millet, beans, rice and grain-nuts. However, years of insurgency have destroyed farmlands, displaced communities and reduced agricultural output. Many farmers cannot access large portions of land due to security concerns, forcing them to work on smaller plots that barely sustain their household.
Abinda muke fuskanta a cikin noma a cikin kasan Borno shine insurgency nan.
Even now, insurgents remain in the bushes not far from our communities. As men, we cannot risk going to farms deep in the bush because if they see us, they will kill us. Sometimes, they spare the women only season the food they harvest. That is why we often send our wives to cultivate the farmlands far away from home.
Da so samu gwamnati su tamake mu.
Muna zuwa gonakinmu da mu da yaranmu.
Every day I go to the farm with my children, but my husband never follows us to the distant farmlands. At times, we encounter insurgents, but because we are women, they usually spare us, only taking what we have. I farm in areas far from home, but thankfully I have never encountered insurgents on my way. I know they are around, but I've managed to carry out my farming successfully every year without direct confrontation.
Government officials have assured continuous support to farming communities, promising to provide security escort, distribute input, and empower farmers through agricultural programs. Authorities also emphasize that food security in Borno, and by extension Nigeria, depends on the resilience of these farmers who refuse to give up despite the odds.
Regarding the issues of agricultural activities under the able leadership of Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, he has ensured that people have returned back to their farm by ensuring that all the IDPs have returned to their ancestral homes and also participate in agricultural activities. First and foremost, he has to ensure that he enhanced military and security presence. The government has increased the deployment of military personnel and police in farming communities to ensure the safety of farmers and deter attacks by insurgents. This includes the establishment of military posts, civilian genital task force posts, vigilantes, hunters posts, and others near the farmlands. Secondly, there is a community vigilante groups. His Excellency empowered these local vigilante groups to assist in the protection of farmers in their farmland. And this group often composed of local residents as well as their traditional leaders. Also, there is a farmers training and awareness program. The government has initiated a program to educate farmers on best practice for security awareness.
As insecurity continues to cast a shadow over Borno's farmland, many farmers say every trip to their farm feels like a gamble with their lives. Yet, despite the constant threat of attacks, they keep going because to stop farming will mean hunger for their families and the entire community. Solomon Josiah, TV360, Borno.
And the Health of Mother Earth Foundation, an ecological think tank advocating for environmental and climate justice in Africa, has raised fresh concerns over the spread of industrial animal farming, warning of its impact on food systems, the environment, and public health. The alarm follows reports of a proposed $2.5 billion investment plan by Brazilian meat processing giant JBS SA, headquartered in Sao Paulo, to establish 6 large-scale industrial facilities in Nigeria. Our correspondent Emeka Mako files in this report from Abuja.
Industrial animal farming has become a global trend, promising efficiency and increased meat production. However, in Nigeria and other countries of note across the world, this shift raises several challenges as it comes at a high cost. Environmental degradation, increased carbon emissions, and strains on local water and land resources. It's also believed to have the tendency to disrupt local farming communities as they're unable to compete with large corporations. It's with a view to addressing this profound concern that Health of Mother Earth Foundation and its partners organized a stakeholders workshop featuring a presentation of case studies and documented stories on the impact of existing industrial farms in Nigeria and screening of videos showing the impact of JBS activities in other countries.
The conversation so far has been around some of the implications this sort of investment can have in terms of Nigeria's food sovereignty. One major challenge is with regard to land grabs. Already many states are offering large expanses of land. Niger State has offered 1.2 million hectares for this project, and this can bring about displacement of local communities, loss of grazing land and farming land for community people, for local farmers who are actually producing and feeding the nation.
Experts are vehement that industrial farming can lead to higher risks of zoonotic diseases, and issues like antibiotic resistance can pose serious public health threats. They are calling for robust regulations to ensure food sovereignty and empowerment of the smallholder farmers who have been relegated to the background.
We are saying, please hold the brakes for now. Do your due diligence on this company. Find out from their country of origin. Find out from other countries where they are established. Get information. Get intelligence. What has happened? How have they conducted business? You don't just, because once you open the door, it will be difficult to slam it. So now that they are coming, let's ask the right questions. It should be our people over and above profits.
Look at environmental contamination that is associated. These industrial farms rely so much on inputs. For example, herbicides, fertilizers, all these pollute our environments. So sometimes you have to imagine what is happening to the neighboring communities, and when it rains, you can imagine what happens to communities who are living downstreams. And that's why we are calling everyone, including government and other key stakeholders, to reflect, to pause and reflect. Is it the right way to do our farming? Is it the right way to produce our food?
In the context of the ABS, massive numbers of animals go through production systems. What does that mean? The food you eat, because antibiotics is used to pump into the system to be able to produce those animals, it's a choice you have to make.
With field reports indicating that local farmers are anxious about losing their livelihoods, the implications of industrial animal farming are complex, and the need for a balanced approach by embracing technological advances while prioritizing local farming practices and sustainability is crucial.
Right now, we would go on a short break, but still to come on news now. Guinea junta suspends key political parties ahead of constitutional referendum. Details of this story right after the break. Welcome back. Here's a quick recap of our top stories. An underage has been reported killed while 76 were rescued as the Nigerian Air Force NAF struck again in its ongoing manhunt for the notorious bandit kingpin Babaro and his gang, the masterminds behind the recent deadly attack on Gida Mantau community in Malumfashi local government area of Katsina State. We also informed you that President Bola Tinubu has pledged to fast-track local production of arms and ammunition to boost Nigeria's security system. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the graduation of Course 33 of the National Defense College in Abuja, Tinubu said reducing reliance on foreign suppliers will strengthen the fight against insecurity. Just in case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV, or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on X, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we are at TV360 Online. In the world of business, 4 Nigerian businessmen have been named in the latest Forbes Real-Time Billionaires ranking released on Saturday. Heading the list is Aliko Dangote with a fortune of $24.4 billion, placing him at number 88 globally. He remains far ahead of other Nigerians on the chart. Abdulsamad Rabiu, the chairman of Boa Group, follows with an estimated $7.2 billion at number 516, while Globalcom and Connoy boss Mike Adenuga sits at number 592 with $6.3 billion. Billionaire investor Femi Otedola makes the cut at number 2,424 with $1.5 billion. The figure shows Dangote's wealth is more than 3 times Rabiu's, nearly 4 times Adenuga's, and over 16 times Otedola's, underscoring his dominance as Africa's richest man. Still on business, The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria has resumed direct revenue collection at the cargo terminals of Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, marking a historic milestone after 15 years. PAN officials are now stationed at the Nigerian Aviation Handling Company and Skyway Aviation Handling Company warehouses to collect cargo charges in real time, improving accountability and transparency in revenue collection. The initiative, supported by high-level collaboration with the Nigeria Customs Service, is aimed at strengthening cargo operations and enhancing the ease of doing business at the airport. PAN officials said the success of MMIA will serve as a model for other airports nationwide, reflecting the authority's commitment to operational efficiency and unlocking new value in cargo operations. On the global scene, Guinea's military junta has suspended 3 main political parties, including that of the former president, for 3 months ahead of a constitutional referendum. The decision, revealed in an order seen by journalists, comes as parties and civil society groups plan demonstrations from September 5 to protest what they describe as a power grab by junta leader General Mamadi Doumbouya. The suspended parties are barred from participating in the upcoming electoral campaign for the constitutional rewrite. The referendum on the revised constitution is scheduled to take place on September 21, 2025. And Dutch Foreign Minister Caspar Veldkamp has resigned after a cabinet meeting failed to agree on sanctions against Israel, weakening the caretaker government. Colleagues from his new social contract party also walked out following the impasse over adopting harsher measures. The debate followed the Netherlands' participation in a joint declaration with 20 other countries condemning Israel's plans to rebuild 3,400 home settlements in the occupied West Bank. Earlier in July, the Netherlands barred far-right Israeli ministers Itamar and Bezalel Smotrich from entering the country. Finally, on sports, Super Eagles head coach Eric Chell has named a 31-man squad ahead of September's 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Rwanda and South Africa. Regular internationals such as Victor Osimhen, Victor Boniface, Stanley Nwabali and William Troost-Ekong made the list. Sevilla striker Jerome Adams ends his maiden call-up, while Terence Murphy returns to the squad after a long-term injury. Nigeria, currently 4th in Group C with 7 points, will look to the 2 fixtures to boost their chances of qualifying for next year's World Cup in the United States, Mexico and Canada. Still on sports, Côte d'Ivoire will host the 2025 WAFU B Under-17 Championship instead of Nigeria. The tournament, originally scheduled to hold at the Moshood Abiola Sports Arena in Abeokuta and Remo Star Stadium, has been relocated due to ongoing renovations at the Remo Star Stadium in Ikenne. Renovation work at the Ikenne venue began this week, prompting the WAFU B Council to move the competition. The championship is now set to take place in Côte d'Ivoire from September 11 to 25, 2025. And that wraps up our bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I am Victoria Konde. See you next time.